G'day guys, we're about to set up a G4x Storm onto a 1UZ. We're going to go through the software because it's a little bit different to the old ones. Now I kind of cheated a little bit. I did download one of my old maps that was on a G4 Plus platform and we had it converted over to the G4x. So it gives me a good starting point. So we go into the software, we connect to the ECU and it is going to say this, because I was using my other laptop with the newer software. So we're going to download the correct software. So it's really easy. We'll go to the link software, the link website. Now we don't actually have any internet here. It's all done through my phone, no LAN-based internet. And I'm actually going to have to close this off. We'll get rid of that because that is going to absolutely freak out if we try to do an update with that working. So get rid of the program because it will freak out. It isn't good. Española, English only. So Jason hasn't worked with the G4X, and I had a feeling you were going to use a hammer on it. Were you going to use a hammer?
There wasn't one close, so no.
There wasn't one close. I was quite glad there's not one close because that would have been bad. And we've got to right click it, open in a new tab. And it tells me that there's 18 minutes left. My phone is a little slow. It downloaded on that one way faster because I had to upgrade it as well. So we're just going to pause that while that downloads. Once that's downloaded, we'll get the new software going and we will continue. Right, it's downloaded. We're going to open it. Give it a moment and get this all fired up. Oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Hopefully. Yep. Yes, I do want it. Next. Install. Do we have power there at the ECU, Jess? Yes. Maybe we've got some sensors attached while I'm loading this.
Well, pressure crank sensor is now attached. It's attached. This one's not attached.
The oil pressure sensor is not attached. Fuel pressure?
Yeah.
Because we don't have the sensor. Because we didn't fit one.
Inject the. See, why make it not intuitive? Like all the other stuff is pretty intuitive. You can sort of bumble-fuck your way through it.
Yep.
And then this one, I'm like, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. And I see why people have trouble with the new software a little bit.
Bro, they're used to the old software.
Because you're used to the old software. Okay. So what I've got is I've got some chicken scratch here with where we've put everything, where we've put the inputs and outputs. And I've taken an old G4 Plus map and that was converted over by Link. I sent it down to Link, talked to them really nicely, and they converted it over to G4X. But in doing so, not everything is actually correct. We have to go through and double check it. When I supply an ECU, so if you buy an ECU from me, it will have the required some base numbers and I supply that with them. Okay. Otherwise, I will charge for a set of base numbers, but you do need to go through the setup process to check they match your setup. Because all engines are a little bit different, wiring's going to be different, and that's why. Okay, and there is a man who will be getting a copy of this map, set up, checked, run, when I'm done this job. He's already purchased it, so he's going to be getting that one. So, of course, I went open, and there is a map in here. I've got a tuning maps, folder for tuning maps, and I went to one of them in here. There's some different maps, and I chose, and this is and I chose a suitable map. Okay. 1UZ base map Storm. That's probably a pretty close one. I'm just going to save this map right now. And G4x, we've got a tuning maps. Tuning maps. Here it is. I'm going to put a 0-1, so it's in order, base, unchecked. And that's just because it's come from the G4 Plus platform. And then I'm actually going to go in and do it again. That sounds funny. It's in the wrong place. Why are we going there? Tuning maps. Go there. And then we're going to do... we predict what it's going to be. Base. Running. We're going to save that. Now, as I said, whenever you get a ECU, regardless of what's been loaded, you should go through a process of checking it all. So this actually came from a Nissan Silvia. I never managed to do a video on that Silvia. I've got it all loaded up, and I'd really like to. But it had just a little Storm, a little drift car, non-VVTi, and it was Sean's Silvia, funnily enough. There it comes. So Marlin Storm. We'll just have it like that. Very good. And we're going to check the firing order. 1836572. That's correct. We're going to check some fueling. It should be modeled, reference. That all looks good to me. Turn that on. Fuel corrections. There aren't any. They didn't have dual maps. So I'm just going to rip through these really quickly. Ignition on start position. And so I have pre-start crime. I always want to have a start input. I like the start input so the ECU doesn't turn it, do pre-crank prime on a key on, because it's easy to flood them. Those all look pretty good to me. Let's just get rid of them. And overrun fuel cut should be on. It is. Closed loop lambda had a wide band, one bank. So we've got to make sure we put that. You wide the can lambda in.
Well, the plug's there for it, yeah.
The plug's there for it. Do we have a can lambda I can actually plug in and configure for it? Just to confirm it's all in there. We'll do that too. Right. I must have had 2 fuel tables in this particular map. I'll have to check where I switch my dual fuel tables over. So I was pretty happy with that. Ignition should be coil on plug. This particular vehicle has got a set of Audi coils. Again, I've got 2 timing maps. Quite a retarded one, and one with a nicer, a bit more timing in it. And dwell table, and that should be pretty good for Audis. That looks good.
No.
RPM limits. It's adaptive. Nap limit is off.
I don't plug this in.
Wait till we get to that point when we plug it in, eh? So I'm just... Now we're actually getting into the stuff that we need to change. So, I look at Jason's little thing here. You have an output coming out, like an extra auxiliary coming out, don't you, to the body plug?
Yeah, GP.
Oh, that's your GP, which could be an engine check light, could be anything we want.
Yeah.
So...
Oh,
On aux6. aux6 is a GP.
Yeah, GB, yeah.
Okay, so on aux6 there's a
And DI, and a DI is in that plug as well.
DI1.
So,
Okay. So we'll put the fan on first, eh? aux4. So the vehicle that this was in had 2 fans. So we're just going to turn that fan off. So I'm going to be turning settings off and turning other settings back on. Okay. So auxiliary 4 is where the fan is now wired to. Turns on when it goes low. So it's switching the relay low. And I can test that relay if we want to. Okay, I've got a test light. You're going to have to trust me on this. And I'm just going to test that on. Test that on. And there's a light just came on. Good. That one works.
Yep, that works.
Okay, so that's under engine fan. You just turn it on. And then we go down. What do we got? A fuel pump?
Yep.
So where's our fuel pump? That's on aux3, which is quite handy. So we move it down to aux3. And we can test it. There's actually a fuel pump attached. Is there fuel squirting out everywhere? I can hear it going past the fuel pressure rig and down into the thing.
Oh, hold up.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Did you?
Oh.
What do we got?
Oh, that's
Coming out of an injector. There's a fuel leakage. We've got fuel because there's fuel dripping out of the rail. So that's good. We're moving on. So those are 2 quite important things. Tacho. There will be a tacho in here. And there will be idle speed. Now, this is where... here's a tacho.
Imagine this is a fuel bath.
Yeah. So tacho is not on... It's on auxiliary 2. So we put that on auxiliary 2. Key sweep. That's all good. It may need, with this one, it may need a pull-up resistor if it's running the factory style tacho. I'll have to make a note of that. But that'll do for the moment because that's some setups. Okay. So idle speed control isn't in the list of auxiliary outputs because it's under the idle speed control menu.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
That's one of the things we're having trouble with. You were trying to find the idle speed output, and there
Well,
wasn't
no,
one.
I went to auxiliary outputs. Clicked on check light to go change it, going auxiliary 1.
Well, it's on none. So if you want to put an output for a check light, which in this case it could be auxiliary 6 if we wanted it, but the idle speed control unit's there, so we put that there, and then it should say something else. Yes, it is there, so we want to disconnect it. Yes, we do. And there's auxiliary 6 has now moved, and it's warned us that we've now turned off the IAC.
Isn't the IC nothing on 1?
IAC is on 1, so we go down here, and here's our idle speed control coming. Idle speed control. Output is now none, so we're going to change that to auxiliary 1. And voila, we have some idle speed. Okay, and then hopefully it's in closed loop, and there should actually be some numbers in here that are kind of close enough. And once it's up and running and sorted, then this RPM lockout above target. So if it's 1,000 RPM above the lockout, the idle speed will still work. So if you're aiming for 1,000, it actually works as you bring it through the revs right up to 2,000 before it stops adjusting it, which you don't actually want that. So you want to bring that down. Once you've got the idle speed working like it should, you want it 200, 300, 400 above. Because otherwise, if you're holding like your throttle at 1400 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
There's a TPS lockout, and it's only got a little bit of a TPS lockout, 0.8. I might just, for this case, give it 1.5, just in case. But if you only had a little bit of TPS out on it, throttle position, and you brought it up to 1400 RPM, 1500 RPM, it's still under that 1000 above its target. So the idle speed control unit will try to drop the idle down. Okay, so that's why you want those settings about right. Okay, so there's idle speed control done now. See, that was done? It was actually pretty easy, eh? I've done something weird. There it is. Okay, so that's idle speed done. And what you've got now is you can actually go to here and you actually check the output pins. So we've got a number 7, and we can just turn that off because I had a warning buzzer on the one I had, and I'm just going to get rid of that overheat. So that's number 7 gone, and I had stoplights because this particular vehicle, the stoplights went through the ECU, and I just turned it off because at the moment 7 and 8 aren't used, so they are spare. But we've got something on 5. We've got an oil pressure output.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. I can't get in. I can turn it off, but I can't turn them on.
Right. Okay.
Okay. No licking it. No rubbing it. So if we go up here, there's a GP output. And we come down to GP output. Oh, what's this one doing here? We can get rid of that. Output none. I didn't get rid of that. The heading. It wasn't actually on. So GP output. We put that on aux 5. And it's not a GP. It is just a GP because it's going to be an oil light, eh?
Yeah.
It's just going to be an on-off oil light. So we put it on aux 5. Have you got do you know where it is in the body plug?
Because of what?
It is an orange yellow.
One of these orange ones. That one. It's still in there.
Okay. So test light to power. So the little clippy thing on the other end that's presently on an earth, you clip that to a power source. Yep. Pop it into and use your test light into the orange yellow, and I just turn it on. Is it turned on? Yeah, it's because it's a test light. Your hand makes a really good door, not a very good window. Okay, so that works. Okay, so now I don't want it on one condition. Actually, I do because it's an oil warning light, eh?
Yeah.
So anytime the oil pressure is below 10 psi.
Well, hang on. What will they run it though? Don't they run quite low oil pressure?
Yeah, they do run low oil pressure, but a good starting point would be probably about 10. And then if it's clipping on, which I had the Datsun clipping on the other day, and I had that set at 10, and Andrew put new oil in it, and it gained like 10 psi with new oil. Yeah, made a big difference, eh? So switch 1. I picked the wrong one again. I don't want a help file. And I don't know if I might have to wait till I've actually put oil pressure in.
No, I had to set it up.
Yes, I do, because have you put oil pressure on analog too?
No.
AN volt 2, oil pressure. Yeah, you have. It's in the right place. So you're actually okay because it's wired the same.
The only thing that was wired the same.
Yep. Okay. And you see, we don't want it greater than.
Less than.
We want it less than. Oh, hey. bugger off. Too big. Max is 6. I want more than that. Too big. Max is 6. Oh, what have I done? 6 volts. It's listed as a volt.
Yeah, it's in the computer. It's the pressure, the voltage.
It produces a voltage.
Sense produces a voltage. Which the computer sees.
Well, if we just go down here, look. If I change it to oil pressure, voila, less than, and now I can go more than 6 instead of doing a volt, because it's a 5 volt scale on the analog volt. Now I can actually put it as a pressure. And I reckon I put it about 70 kPa. That's like 2/3 of a bar. 66 is close enough anyway. And then we're good. I'm actually, and now at this point, you see, guys, what I can do is I can just save it. I can just go store to ECU, and I can do file save, and it's not overriding my original file because I've already put 02 in, which is the adjusted one. So now we can go down to the output pins. See right there? All our output pins are correct.
Yeah.
And so you can look at it really quickly. When you go down, you just go to output pins to check everything, and you can run down all the output pins of what they're doing. And that's the intention of the new software, I think.
Right, okay.
Kind of makes sense?
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
You need a couple more of them to
Yeah, you do.
get braining around.
Yeah.
And it is Monday.
And it is Monday. And we've got an input pin here. So DI1 is actually, that's wired to that plug.
Body plug.
Body plug. Yep.
So that can be, what is it?
So number 2 is no longer an ignition switch. It's actually a start position, isn't it? DI3 is not actually on. I'm just going to turn that off. That gets rid of that one.
Yeah, it's fuel.
I'm going to get rid of the stop lights. Because you didn't put stop lights on, Jace.
Oh, yeah. This motor has stoplights.
You don't want stop lights going through the ECU on this one.
No.
Nah, strange. And a clutch. Why would we put a clutch switch in? No idea. So you can have the pit lane limiter. So you can come down pit lane in 3rd gear at full throttle with it doing pops and bangs when you're racing lemons. And we're going to put start position on here. No, we're not. We can turn it off here, but we can't turn it on here. So that's all the DI's off, and then we go back up here. There's a start position right here.
What a fucking dang switch in my life.
And we want it on DI2. DI2. Pull-up resistor off. High level, so it's going to high. Perfect. So there, in the input pins now, we've got start position on DI2. DI3 is nothing. DI4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, they're all clear. Right, that's good. So this is matching the wiring I've got in front of me. Analog inputs. Engine coolant temp. So you can see right here we've got engine coolant temp at 18. Engine coolant temp. It's going to be in the right place. So you can see it's on AN temp. It'll be AN temp 1. AN temp 1. It's in the right place. And it's about the correct temperature. The AN temp 2, or inlet air temp 2, is on AN 2. So that's in the right place as well, which we should be able to find right here. Here it is. Bosch, NTC, we're good. TPS. Can we open the throttle, please, Maestro?
Ready?
Yep. Goes to 100%.
Cool.
It's actually pretty close. Wait, I'll actually do the calibration now while we're doing it. TPS setup. Depress throttle to fully open. Go. Oh, it goes to 100. And let it all the way off. 1.2. Clear that. It's at 0. And we save it. That's easy, eh? Where's my map sensor? Why is a map sensor as a GP? I would have thought it'd be kind of important. It's on number 1. AN volt 1. And I must have run a different calibration on that one. There's going to be some calibrations in there. Calibration tables I'm going to clear as well. Fuel pressure. Oh, I've actually got fuel pressure, oil pressure, and cals already set up in here. Did we fit a link 1.15 bar?
Correct.
And we'll push OK. And then we better do a calibration. Yes, I do. We've now got map sensor calibrated. And then what's really cool here is we go down here, we push input pins. And we'll just move this over like this. Woo! Come on. And we can actually check where we've put stuff. Nothing on temp 3. Here's our map. Oil pressure. Fuel pressure is on number 4. Let me just double check that. Yes, he did. So we wired this for a fuel pressure sensor. But there isn't one fitted. And we can just double check that up here.
So I had the external fuel pressure sensor going. Visual?
Visual fuel pressure. Yep. It was failed.
No,
Had the leak.
It had it.
Had pressure. And we've actually got some calibration tables in here. See there, I've got a fuel pressure sensor. And
fuel in the belly.
What is 150? Wonder what fuel pressure sensor I ran on that car.
Donkey. No, donkey.
Let me just find a calibration for that. Have you got that sheet of calibrations on those sensors?
Sheet of calibration on sensors.
The pressure sensors, oil pressure and fuel pressure.
I may have put them back.
You put it away.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, we'll just hold there. We'll just find some. We'll just find some data. Find some info. I'm kind of glad I checked that, Jace, because that fuel pressure, that's the 100 psi sensor that is actually in the calibration.
Alright.
So I'm going to put 100 psi.
It appears to be fixed. Appears to solve problem.
100 psi pressure. And I don't want to be there. So I'm going to put another calibration table in on linear table 3. Where was oil pressure? Oh, that's because I had it. That is just a normal TI sensor, 150 psi TI. So it puts it 34 kPa out. But it's close enough. Often it's used. Right, so we've got a 150 psi sensor for the oil pressure. And it was on analog volt 2. And I put it in as a 1000 kPa TI sensor, which is really, really close, but we're going to go a little bit pedantic this time. So I'm going to make this 150 psi pressure. And I'm going to put the exact calibrations in. 4.5. And I've got just a little sheet here. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong part of the mouse. It's pressure. Unit A is 0. Unit B is 1034.21. Right, so now sorry, we had a bit of interruption, but we're back. I put a 150 psi, so that's on linear table 3. And if we go to... Now, I was actually going to put on linear table 3. And we need to put oil pressure on linear table 3 as well. So I'm going to put this to linear table 3. That one there. I've calibrated a TPS. I've calibrated a map sensor. I've got the other sensors set up. We've calibrated, checked our inputs and outputs. We haven't done a spark test. Are they all powered up now? I could probably, what I haven't done is I haven't done triggers. Let me do triggers and you power that up and I'll do the trigger setup. 1UZFE, default. And this one had individual coils on it as well. It's wrong. What's my calibration for individual coils? 355. Is it standard 355 to calibrate it? 355?
I think that's what we had last one.
Is it 3 or minus? Oh, you know what I didn't do? Guess what I didn't do? You know what I always miss on that one, eh? I didn't press enter.
You didn't push enter.
I didn't press enter. 355, enter. And if I am clever, I can actually fire it up on this one and just confirm that. I'm sure I've got that same map on this other laptop. Toby's ute was individual coils, and I calibrated that one myself. Oh, that one isn't right because his one hadn't been adjusted and the timing was way out, but it still someone managed to run last time. So my trigger, yeah, I know. 355. 355 is correct. Done. So that should put our timing in the correct place. Do you want some sparks?
Sure.
Petition main, and of course we're doing sparks before fuel, eh?
No, fuel in sparks.
No, because it hurts my ears. I actually, my ears are still ringing from the last time I did that, like 6, 7, 8 months ago. My ears are definitely still ringing from that. Here's number 1. That's clicking. I actually have a tester. Coming. There you go.
Yep, that's right. You can feel that positive cool.
You want 3?
3 weeks.
4. Here comes 4.
Yep, that's working.
I can't hear that one at all.
I can feel it.
5. Jason with his fingers.
Yep, I can feel it.
6. That's 8. That's 6. Yeah, I can hear that one now. Makes a big difference when those valves are open to them ticking.
Yeah.
7. Yep.
Yep.
8.
Yep.
Done. Okay, and then we do some injectors. Fuel. Injector test. I don't know where my fuel tables turn over. Just wait, let me just double check where my dual fuel tables are. Virtual auxiliary 1. So I've got there an ignition. I've got a dual ignition. Virtual auxiliary 1. And if I look at my table, I think that, so it's on the more conservative table there. It's definitely on the more conservative table there. So that's quite a conservative table. So if it doesn't have good extractors, otherwise you can just flick an auxiliary 2. Bang. So I've actually loaded 2 maps in when it goes out. So if the owner of it's got a nice exhaust and free-flowing headers, bang, they turn auxiliary 1 on and it changes the map.
Oh, the virtual one.
Virtual auxiliary. So we just probably should just double check.
Oh, hang on.
On my virtual auxiliaries.
Bucket of noise, maybe some more noise.
I'm just a little bit lost because I've got so much open.
You got some more bucket of noise? Noise?
I do.
Where is the noise?
Somewhere.
It's a little container, right?
Yeah.
That one. Fire maker is.
Virtual auxiliary 1. Oh, it's actually already on. So you turn it off and it gives it the good maps.
Oh.
I just put it on test on and it gives it the conservative map. And then if you turn it off, bang, it goes on to fuel map 2 and ignition timing map 2.
Goes on the woohoo map.
Goes on to the woohoo map, yeah.
Wow, it's woohoo when you think we'll get it.
Okay, we'll go for injection, testing, fuel setup,
I can't find noise maker.
injector test. Here we go. 1. 2. 3. 4.
Yep.
5. 6. 7. Oh, we're going to go to 8 there. 7. My ears are saying, so I'm saying they're pretty good.
Yep.
That was quite different, isn't it? And we'll turn them off. Good. Let's make it go.
Oh, any more noise?
I'll find some more noise for you. Right, there we go. So we've set it up. I'm happy with the readings. I'm happy with what's going on. We're ready to make it go. And that's taken the two of us, well, a bit over 40 minutes. Probably by the time I have paused this a couple of times, probably about an hour to set up a map that was already set up. And that's quite normal. If I set up a ECU from scratch, from nothing, I'm okay with it taking 2 or 3 or 4 hours to go through and check everything. We haven't run this yet, so we're going to run it. And there'll be some more checking that all the sensors are reading like we should. If the oil pressure is reading like it should. If it had a fuel pressure, we'd check that. Temperatures are good. All that stuff is good. Right, I thought I'd better do the CAN section as well. So, ECU controls. CAN setup. I'll go to the CAN setup.
No, not password protection.
Nah. Is it on CAN 2?
I don't know. Is it?
Why have I got Transmit Dash Pro 2 on this?
Does it have a dash?
No.
I don't know, doggy. These lenses.
We'll turn that off. And I'm going to move it on to number 1. I'm just going to turn that off. Move it up to number 1. Onto channel 1. We're going to put it link can lambda. Might be right at the bottom. And the code is a 950. And we push apply. And there was no OBD2.
No.
Well, we could have OBD2 on. You just put it onto that CAN plug if he wants it. So you just wire it in with a little jumper lead in between. And we can actually do test CAN devices here. But so we go on CAN module 2, find device, and hopefully it's going to find a CAN lambda on 1 megabit. Voila. If you want to change stuff in your CAN lambda, that's where you change it. So that theoretically should just plug in. And I'm hoping...
Store your ECU.
Oh, okay, I'll store it. Stored ECU. File. Save. I'm actually hoping that lambda should just come through in the right place. It should be from CAN lambda. Why was it on lambda average? I don't know either.
Because it was average?
And we store that as well. That might get hot. And it should read lean. We could probably put the sensor in.
The fuse.
Tell me it's running.